Hello, good afternoon. We'll begin this meeting at on December 11th, 2024 at 12:17 p.m. On this meeting to order. Rose, could you do the roll call, please?
Of course. Commissioner Tadian? Here. Commissioner Curley is not here. And Co-Chair Fontoya is here yet. And then Co-Chair Lamb
Here.
and Commissioner Koski here. And then Commissioner Marks.
Here.
Commissioner Marshall. Here. Commissioner Zavala.
Here.
All right, we'll move on to land acknowledgement. I'd like to ask somebody to read the land acknowledgement. Be possible to ask Moana?
Sure.
Okay. Moana, would you be able to read the land acknowledgement for us, please?
Yes. The Flagstaff City Council humbly acknowledges the ancestral homelands of this area's Indigenous nations and original stewards. These lands, still inhabited by native descendants, borders mountains sacred to Indigenous peoples. We honor them, their legacies, their traditions, and their continued contributions. We celebrate their past, present, and future generations who will forever know this place as home.
Okay, let's move on to item number 3, public comment. At this time, any member of the public may address the commission on any subject within their jurisdiction that is not scheduled before the commission on that day. Due to open meeting laws, the commission cannot discuss or act on items presented during this portion of the agenda. To address the commission on an item that is on the agenda, please wait for the chair to call for public comment at this time. Any maybe kind of chat for online people that are listening in?
This is all in person.
Oh, it is? Okay. All right. Move on there to the approval of minutes. The other commissioners had a chance to take a look at the minutes from September 4th. There's a couple of them we're going to go through. Need a motion to approve the minutes as is or approve of amendments for September 4th, 2024 minutes.
Motion to approve.
I'll move.
Anyone more?
And then somebody seconds.
Anybody else who could second the minutes? Del Marks. Thank you.
Vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. One more set of approval of minutes. This is going to be for October 9th, 2024. Motion to approve minutes as is or approve with amendments.
Motion to approve.
Brian Zavala and Del Marks.
Vote.
Aye. Thank you. Okay. So item number 5, we'll move on to item number 5, general business. The City of Flagstaff Regional Plan and 60-day review. So Elsa Erling is here from City of Flagstaff, Comprehensive Planning Associate Planner, and or Sarah Dector, Comprehensive Planning Manager, will provide a PPT presentation of the current status of this City of Flagstaff Regional Plan. An overview will provide as to what may be expected during the 60-day review and achieving commissioners' awareness for communicating information out to community members. Elsa?
Yeah, that's me. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Elsa. I'm an associate planner in comprehensive planning for the city. And I've been working with Sarah Dector, who you may have met before or had presentations from before, on the Flagstaff Regional Plan. And we also work with Melissa Shaw at the county. So this is a plan that applies both to the city and surrounding county communities, for example, Donny Park, Fort Valley, Belmont, Kachina Mountain Air. So I'm coming to you because we are in the 60-day public review of the regional plan. And we're actually kind of at the 11th hour. So the public review closes a week from from this Thursday. So it closes December 19th. And unfortunately, because of quorum and the timing of meetings, I wish I could have come and given this presentation earlier, but I hope that this presentation can help explain the plan so that it's an easier lift, and because we'd like to get comments from you all on the plan. It is a large document, so I'll walk through some different parts of it, and that can hopefully guide where you might want to comment, so it's not such an overwhelming task. So a little bit of background about the regional plan. This process, it's a plan that has to be updated every 10 years and the process to update it has been already going on for about 2 years. There was some work around visioning, and we had events and public workshops that were designed to sort of set the vision and collect data on what was available to support our goals and policies of this plan, and to get feedback on the direction to go in. And then we were starting to write chapters of the plan, and we had a regional plan advisory committee that reviewed each chapter that I'll talk about on upcoming slide. But right now we're at the point where we have a large draft document. It's 230 pages. And this is the time for commissions to weigh in directly on what's written in it, and also for the public to weigh in on what's written there. And going forward, there's going to be more legal review, and then eventually it goes to council and the city and county planning and zoning commissions, and then also the county board of supervisors before it finally gets adopted. So when we were thinking about setting up the approach to this plan, we identified some critical success factors. This was based on what was working and not working about the previous plan. And I apologize if this text is kind of small to see, but I'll read some of these out. So a key success factor is that this new plan should be feasible and implementable and user-friendly and concise. And that it sets clear priorities and minimizes existing priorities. So one problem with the existing plan is that it was just really a large document. Even though this is 200 pages, it's I think already 100 pages shorter than the previous one. And we're really trying to instead of just throwing everything that we could ever want into the plan, we really want to think about priorities and what's actually feasible for a document that looks towards 2045 but gets updated every 10 years. It should reflect community values and incorporate diverse cultural perspectives of land, water, and natural resources, such as protection of the four sacred elements: land, water, air, and fire. It should incorporate critical thinking about vulnerabilities, uncertainties, and complexities, and consider the vision of different area plans appropriately. There's an idea that was in the previous plan and in the existing plan and the proposed plan about activity centers. And I'll talk about that when we get to the future growth illustration, but clarity on that was something that we wanted to bring into this plan, and that it should address cost constraints and affordability concerns for the community. So this is a picture of the regional plan committee, at least the people who were attending in person that day. So they were selected by the city and county manager. They held 15 meetings over about 9 months, and they reviewed each chapter of the plan and the entire document. So they endorsed the document on Monday, September 30th, and that was what kicked off this 60-day public review after the revisions that they had recommended were incorporated. And their meetings were open to the public. We had people. They've also been recorded and posted online. So if you're curious about any of the previous meetings and different chapters, please feel free to go back and review those recordings.
Also, before you go on, I just wanted to include that excuse me, that Walter Phelps and Alicia Chi
Mhm.
they were part of this committee, although they're not in the picture.
Yes.
Thank you, Ruby.
So the 60-day public review started October 20th. It ends December 19th. We've done some different, we've had some different opportunities for ways that the public could weigh in on the plan. So we had in November 4 workshops that were on different topics. For example, there's a transportation workshop, one that was about natural resources. We've had some online webinars that were recorded. So this presentation is very similar to what the webinars are, but those are available if you're interested in watching them. And then we have had these office hours every Friday where staff is available to just talk about whatever issues people bring to us. So we have one more office hours this Friday, and if anyone is interested in talking to staff more one-on-one about that, that would be a great opportunity. It is in Doney Park at the Summit Fire Station from 11 to 2. But yeah, so and then as well in the background during the 60-day public review, staff has been doing some testing of the plan and looking for sort of doing some stress testing and looking for any issues in how it's written and how it could be implemented. So this is the main way to comment on the plan. It's posted online on a website called Conveyo. And on this website, you can select chapters of the plan, read them, and drop comments using this comment bubble function. And you can also look at other comments that people have left and respond to them or vote them up or down. And then there are some other ways that you can comment as well. You could, there's a link up here in the description for this website that will give you a full PDF so you can look at it that way. And email comments to Sarah. I'll provide that information on a later slide. But so far, there are quite a lot of comments on there. There's probably over 500. So, and it can be kind of interesting to look at what other people have brought up. So recommend checking this out if you have the opportunity. So thinking back to our success factors, these are some of the ways that we've tried to implement that in this plan. So there are fewer goals and policies in this plan compared to the previous one. I think the previous one had 90 something goals and 500 policies, which was just really too much for staff to manage. So we've really tried to think about what is most important of these goals and policies. The future growth illustration, which I will get to, we've changed the approach and made it a more specific map. There's these new parts of the plan, which are called implementation guidelines and action items. And those talk more, so the implementation guidelines talk about the principles and the how of applying, of carrying out the goals and policies. And then the action items are like a checklist for the city and county of what we want to get done in different areas. This plan is structured to have a little bit more clarity about what applies to development review that the city does and county does versus what is advising our programs in different areas. And I'll get to that a little bit more later as well. The plan is a living document and there's procedures for amending it. And there's been some changes to those procedures in this draft plan. And one of those is to allow more administrative changes. For example, updating a link. It used to be that you had to go through a more extensive process to do those small things like correcting a typo. And we're proposing in this plan that those changes be able to be made administratively. So this is a diagram that tries to explain how the plan functions. So at the bottom, we have the regional plan. It provides foundational guidance for a lot of other city documents and city programs. It's kind of high level. It doesn't necessarily get into the super specifics. And on one side of the triangle is development review, and that's the cases that come to planning and development services. For example, a rezoning case, we have to show that it complies with the regional plan. And then the green level, the area and specific plans and code updates in blue, those are all also things that apply to development review, and the regional plan guides them. So the regional plan could set guidance about how we want to change the zoning code, and once carried out, that would apply to all development projects that come into the city. So that's one side of the triangle, and then on the other, it's the vision. So the regional plan that also sets guidance that's more on the programmatic side of what the city should be doing. So there are plans like the transportation plan and the 10-year housing plan that apply citywide and describe, like the programs we should implement, the funding, and those kind of things. And the regional plan sets guidance for those as well. But those are sort of different. So in some cases, what the regional plan might say would need to then be adopted into another policy document that the city uses that gets more specific on how to carry something out. So these are two different ways that the regional plan functions, and that relates to the organization of the plan. So we have two intro chapters. So there's an introduction chapter, and then there's a chapter about how the plan works. And then we move into the policy section, and the policy section is what's evaluated in development review. So it includes goals and policies that cover a lot of the different topics of the plan, and then also the growth and land use framework. So those are the two chapters in the policy section, and then the implementation section covers a lot of other areas. Some of what's in this section is legal requirement. In some cases, there's other planning documents in the city that build on what the regional plan says for these different topics, but it includes social and economic systems, transportation, resource stewardship and resilience, parks, recreation and open space, water, resource management, energy, infrastructure, and public safety. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about some of the content that's specifically related to Indigenous issues or mentions Native peoples or may be of interest to this commission. So starting in the introduction, this is the first chapter where we are talking about the landscape and introducing people to the region. So we have the city's land acknowledgement, and then we have a section called Community in a Sacred Landscape where we talk about the peaks and the different names for the peaks in different languages. And then we also have a section that gets a little bit more into history. And this is definitely a part of the plan that we would love to have your feedback on and your comments as to whether this is capturing what we're meaning to say well. Then I think maybe I made this slide a little bit out of order, so apologies. But there are 5 priorities for the plan, and these are also in the early section of the plan. These have come up again and again for our community engagement. So one of them is to create more housing attainability in the region's neighborhoods and centers to mitigate displacement and reduce housing costs. We hear over and over that housing is really a key issue that we need to address in this plan. Then we have creating mixed-use, denser neighborhoods that support a variety of housing types and active transportation, reducing community-generated climate pollution and protecting air quality, protecting the region's significant natural and cultural resources, and expanding the region's preparedness and resilience to hazards and climate change. So in thinking about our goals and policies in this plan, these priorities are really setting the focus for the rest of the plan. This is the future growth illustration, which I've talked a little bit about before. So this is in chapter 4, the growth and land use chapter. The focus of this plan is land use, so this is really a key part. And it identifies different areas of the plan as different land use categories. And those relate to zoning, but they're not exactly the same thing as zoning. This is really a forward-looking map of like what we want to see in these areas. So for example, we have different types of neighborhoods, so urban neighborhoods, suburban neighborhoods, and rural neighborhoods. We have centers, which are the more dense areas where there would be commercial and residential mixed use. And we have urban, suburban, and rural centers. And then there are corridors, which are along collector and arterial roads. So that, for example, Route 66 is an example of a corridor where you can see some commercial. You might see a higher density there too, like apartment buildings. There's also these blue categories. One is called employment district, and it includes industrial areas and business parks. And then one is called University Research District, and that is areas such as NAU, where there's a campus, and it's sort of an area also related to employment business. Then the green areas are parks and open spaces, the dark green, and the light green is a new category, federal lands and working landscapes. And I'll talk a little bit about specifically that category. So for each of the categories, there are these, there's in the land use framework, which is also in chapter 4, there's a description of what we hope to see or what this category could become. So with guidelines that go along with categories. So federal lands and working landscapes are lands that are either managed by a federal land agency, such as the Forest Service, or they could be state lands or private inholdings that may contain some residential, but can also be managed for natural and cultural resources. This could include for sacred sites, for forest restoration, research, ranching, mining, and other agricultural and industrial uses. And each of these different categories has their own description similar to this. Some of them have illustrations and diagrams as well. So we also have an online map where you can zoom in on an area that you might be interested in and look at it more closely. If we're open to feedback on how we categorize these different lands and how we're describing them. So then getting into some goals and policies. These are 2 policies in the development patterns category. That's what DP stands for. So we have policy DP9, because the region's desired development pattern is connected and inclusive, discourage gated communities and neighborhoods with many cul-de-sacs. And we have DP12, explore opportunities for expanding agricultural and food system support in all zoning districts. So these are just a sample of the different goals that we have about development patterns for the region. And then there are several goals that we have, goals and policies related to housing affordability. Goal HA, the overarching goal, maximize the affordability of housing in every neighborhood to meet housing needs in the region. We have policy HA1, minimize and mitigate displacement of residents and prevent the loss of existing affordable housing units. HA2, expand access to home ownership by incentivizing the development of a variety of housing types, providing resources and programs to support home buyers and reducing barriers to home ownership opportunities. And policy HA3, coordinate with local service providers to furnish resources for vacancies, temporary shelter, and transitional housing opportunities for individuals experiencing homelessness. Another section of goals and policies are the ones on neighborhoods and equity. So I know this is a lot of text. The first one is about recognizing past and present harm of exclusionary zoning and trying to eliminate racial and ethnic disparities in accessing affordable housing and address systemic barriers. Policy NE2 is a new idea in this plan that there wasn't anything like this in the previous one. It says collaborate with Indigenous nations to meet the unique housing needs of an emerging opportunities for housing Native American students, workers, residents, and elders in and around the region. We have NE3 is about assisting homeowners with maintenance, flood proofing, health and safety, and other types of improvements, accessibility improvements to prevent displacement. And then the last one is about making that resources available to neighborhood associations and other groups that are best positioned to reach residents in need.
I have a question. Yeah. If you don't mind. So, on the any policy, how could one or an organization kind of get more involved with that? Is that an open door to the whole overall idea and conception of helping the community here in Flagstaff?
Yeah, I think so. We have some guidelines. So when we have the goals and policies, those are in that goals and policies chapter in the chapter 3. And then in the implementation section, there are some chapters that have these implementation guidelines, and that gets into a little bit more specifics of how something could be carried out. And in some cases, the goals and policies, we haven't necessarily worked out all the details yet, and it's something that there'll need to be further work to figure out exactly how we can collaborate with Indigenous nations and how, like, what specifically what would help meet those unique housing needs. But the implementation guidelines are a good place. Like, if there's questions about the goals and policies, the implementation guidelines are supposed to expand on them and explain more. So I think these are some of the implementation guidelines that relate to those goals and policies. So we have pursue funding opportunities to support housing in the community for members of Native nations, encourage housing models that support the cultural and familial practices of Native Americans in the region, and then develop partnerships with Native nations to support housing with access to education, health services, and jobs. But certainly if there's an idea that you have that's not reflected in there or something like that, that would be a great place to put something in.
And then, so moving forward, should we participate in these future sessions that you have?
Yeah, so this is the time to provide comments about what should be in the document, and then there's going to be public hearings as it goes through council. So that would be another opportunity, but I think this is really the best time if there's ideas missing from the plan to put them in. And then in terms of like how an organization could work with the city to do this, I think that's kind of a later step in once this plan gets adopted and then how it gets implemented. Does that get to your question?
Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why for the 60-day review, I had emailed all the commissioners on that so that you can have input on it. It's a big document. That's why they gave it a 60-day to read through it and provide comment. Then there's going to be another layer for, the council will be involved. And so it's just, so the difference between the city is that the city votes on it, that the council votes on it, whereas the supervisors don't, because Coconino County supervisors, but they're complementary plans, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah, so this plan, it gets it. So there's also a Coconino County comprehensive plan that's going on right now. And this regional plan becomes an amendment to that overarching plan for the whole county. So that's how it applies to the county. But for the city, as Rose said, we directly vote on it and it becomes the city's, it's called the general plan for the city. So there's also some policies in this section, healthy economy. The HE2, for example, seek out opportunities to support existing businesses, nurture entrepreneurship, and support economic stability. along with measures to avoid amplifying displacement pressure, especially in areas of historic disinvestment. We have promote employment pathways, skills training, and job creation in targeted sectors and needed industries such as construction, forestry, advanced manufacturing, healthcare, astronomy, and bioscience. It's policy HE5 is support improved nutrition, food security, and jobs in the region by encouraging local agricultural activity and the production, manufacturing, and distribution of food at various scales.
So we're only have a few minutes left for our meeting to end, so I'm not really sure if I want to go
Yeah, I'll,
a little
Yeah.
faster. And I also want to ask commissioners if they could just stay a few minutes more beyond 1 o'clock so that we can finish up the agenda. Except for Mariah, she has like a really important meeting, one on the dot.
They don't like Indian time. My job.
So the resource stewardship and resilience section is also an area where there's some goals and policies related to natural resource management, cultural resources. We have one policy that about incorporating Indigenous knowledge and cultural practices into natural and cultural resource affairs and projects. There are some guidelines that go along with that as well, but I'll go through them kind of quickly. CR goals and policies are the ones specifically related to cultural resources as well. For example, talking about preserving historic buildings and sites, and including art and placemaking that tell the story of the region's Indigenous peoples, pioneers of all races, ethnicities, innovators, community makers, and preserve the memories of the Flagstaff community. And then we also have some goals on parks, recreation, and open space that, for example, PROS 6 is an example of this is about adaptive reuse of appropriate buildings and recreation and community centers. So the new Indigenous Cultural Center is an example of how this policy could be carried out. And there's some more guidelines that go along with these goals and policies. So this slide, so talking about ways to participate, because we're running up against the deadline coming soon, probably the best way for this commission to participate is to submit comments through the Conveyo site online that I showed, or to email them to Sarah. There have been some commissions that have formed a subgroup, but we may not have time with it being close to the deadline. So, because that may involve another meeting or meeting. Yeah, it may be hard to fit in.
Yeah.
But you can certainly submit comments as an individual, and we will take them all into account in the revision. And really anything is on the table for comments, you know, the wording, the design of the document, any questions, those kind of things will all be helpful for us. So, and then this is a brief slide about what happens after the 60-day review. There's going to be a long period of analyzing and incorporating the comments. We may reconvene the regional plan committee that I showed earlier if there is a complex issue that they would we would want them to weigh in on. There's a final legal review, and then further layers of review by the Board of Supervisors, Council, and the Planning and Zoning Commission. And then eventually it may be on the ballot, possibly November 2025, possibly later than that. So that's it for my presentation. I won't take up too much more of your time, but if anyone has questions, they can, Sarah Dector is probably the best place to send your questions and your comments.
Yeah, make sure you remember her name, Sarah Dector, and her phone number, her email. She's always open to talking about anything having to do with the regional plan.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing all that information. 240 pages is quite a bit. So
It is.
I can imagine. I mean, anybody who got some comments definitely got to focus in on just the, the section that really. Done. All right, we're gonna move on to general business. Item B, reschedule Indigenous Commission meeting on January 1st, 2025. January 1st, 2025 is a holiday. Request the commission to reschedule this meeting to a different date and time. Rose, make some suggestions.
Okay, before we make some suggestions, I have two, but I want to introduce Moana and have her introduce herself. She's appointed last week and by council member McCarthy. And she's gonna be joining our commission starting officially in January.
My name is Moana Mountain. I am an archivist, officially assistant archivist for Indigenous Understands and Cultures at NAU Klein Library Special Collections and Archives. So I work a lot with Indigenous collections and culture sensitivity matters for on tribal partners. I'm excited to be here. Welcome.
We're really excited. I heard some really good things from her about her from NAU, so I was like, yes, take her. So we're happy for you to join. And then Mr. Marks here was reappointed by Councilmember Harris, not Harris, the House. So we're very happy, and she's like, he's a done deal, right? And I'm like, if you say so. So that's good. And then another one that just got appointed last night, because Councilmember Matthews was not at the last meeting. So she appointed Cheryl Lee Francis to the commission. However, she's gonna be completing Commissioner Kabatini's term. So she only has a short one, I think 1 year, if I'm not mistaken. So I think the two of you have 3 years.
She was one of the panelists, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
she was on the panel. So she's happy to be informed, and I'm sure she would be able to reapply at the end of 2025. So as far as the dates for next month, I will be available January 8th or the 9th, or at the same time. You guys are okay with that? Otherwise, you can throw out some numbers, some dates if you wish.
Okay with the 8th.
Me too.
With the night.
So
The ones that are ending terms now, are we going into that January meeting or is this our last meeting?
this will be the last meeting. Okay. So don't go yet. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I'm just.
Don't go yet.
Yeah.
So we have 2 for the 8th. 8.
I could go at 8 or 9.
Okay, you're okay.
And are we looking at?
Oh, that's gonna be,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're done. Yeah.
It's just kind of better to have it at the same time right now.
Please.
And then
I
in
want you to have at
January,
least a couple.
we're gonna decide, I give you the date and probably go different.
So, I'm good with either date.
We'll be depressed.
Don't be depressed. We'll have
The
to.
new administration's coming in on the 7th, so I'm really distraught.
Oh, no. Yep. So you got that going. So it'll be on the 8th at noon.
Changes all.
Okay. And it'll be virtual.
All right, so we'll move on to item number 6, discussion items. Item A is update Native American Heritage Month. Youth art activity at Flagstaff High School, November 20th. Number one, and number two is out there, crimes of the paranormal, the shape-shifting defense, November 21st.
So I want to go ahead and turn it, well, you weren't there. So we had an art activity with the youth as part of Native American Heritage Month. And our sustainability partners from the city, Jenna, she went over with Bella. The two of them went over to the high school and they did a really wonderful art activity of making tiles, like for, you call it, like things that you can put on there. What are those called?
Yeah. Yeah.
Posters, yeah. And they did a really good job. We had a full room of students and they did all these really pretty things. And so that was really cool. So that was, I don't have any pictures, only because they were underage.
Oh, no, they took pictures of like,
Plus the plates,
Yeah.
they did. And I'll send those out. I'm not gonna do it right now because we're in a hurry. And then as far as, let me do really quick. Mariah, if you need to leave, the room that you have is right across over here in the little fishbowl
Okay.
meeting room.
Sweet. Well, I'll be in there if anybody's hanging out still after 2 o'clock. Say hi. But happy holidays. I'm so sorry I have to go. There's, feel free for anybody to take the chips and salsa. So it's just me and my dog, so. Thanks.
So it'll say finance conference room or something. All right, so the other one that we had on the 21st was, we showed the Hulu Prime of the shape-shifting defense. Did everybody see that on their own at some point? No, but anyway, if we had like, I was only expecting like maybe 10 or 15. But it was a full room of people that saw the, that's good. The video. It was really, it was about, Sarah Seguin, Navajo, and he was murdered up here in the hospital. When they're, the grounds anyway, and like in the 80s. Late 80s, yeah. And so, but just the conversation that came out of there was really good. We had the police chief there, our city council, some of our city council members were there. Our, I think a supervisor from the county. We also had the county attorney, the new one, Emmon, and then as well as the victim's witness that were there. And it was just a really good conversation. Some people, the family was there from the second family. So it was really, were you there? Matthias was there. Matthias and Cheryl Lee were there to support the family.
it also helped with direction.
So if you can watch it, it's just really some things to really be aware of regarding our justice system, not just here, but anywhere. And then how our native culture was really used against this family. And how the person did confess to the murder, but they didn't, it was just, they let them go.
It's an all-white jury.
So it was just really, really an eye opener on some of the things that could happen, but, with the new, with some of the people there, like Ammon, the new county attorney, basically said this is something that very much into, actually, he has a contract with the peacemaking office from Tuba City to have their staff come train his staff. And we're trying to see what we can do to incorporate traditional practices into the criminal justice system. So those are some things we're working on. And I'm happy that some of our commissioner, I think Commissioner Hoskey is on one of our committees. with the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. So she is on the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, the big council. So appreciate everybody's help on that. That's what I have for right now, but before we go, I want to just say thank you to Fawn for all her work. Oh, and she baked these cookies herself. Yep.
Hopi cookies. You can take over now.
Fawn, did you ever get a t-shirt?
No.
Okay.
T-shirt.
Our Indigenous Peoples Day t-shirt. And this is for your baking
Oh, thank
pleasure.
you.
And then our t-shirt and, our cap. All right. Thank you for helping us so much.
Yeah, it was a good journey and a good learning experience working with the city and our relatives and a lot of the organizations within the city of Flagstaff. And I will forever hold all the experience and all the friendship and all the work that we've done thus far to move our people forward for a better future, not only for ourselves, but also our children that are gonna be our leaders one day. So Asboli gonna offer everything, and I always pray for this commission that we are successful and that we are prosperous in all our decisions and all our partnerships in the future. And I wish you all the best of luck. And I'm not going anywhere. Like I was asking questions, so I hope to be a part of many meetings and positive outcomes for our people.
You'll be missed. And your food too.
Yeah, I had to wean off this past Native American Heritage Indigenous Peoples Day because I wanted to allow someone else to take and do that. So it was hard, but you know, sometimes you just have to do what you gotta do.
It was really good because we had like tons of food.
Yeah, I saw all the help, so that was really awesome. Yeah.
Fawn. Anybody else want to say something to Fawn or anything before we go to the last meeting?
I commented to you this morning on
Right,
Facebook,
yeah.
so we're Facebook friends now, so I like the posts, you know, definitely, you know, seeing your travels and being around and stuff like that, being able to be all over. the
I have
place.
one more comment though. I just wanted to let everybody know I work with Taros, which is a mental health program that works in town. So I help individuals in crisis, and so I feel like I'm more fitting to what I'm knowledgeable about helping our people. So when we have individuals in crisis, I'm able to help law enforcement. I'm able to go to the hospital. I'm able to do community stabilization for our community. So right now I work with a mobile crisis team, so my work doesn't stop. I'm there with the individual helping, and then like she said, you know, with law enforcement, I'm there to help navigate those services for our people and our community. So that way they get the proper and appropriate help. So I'm still doing what I love to do, and that's being right there with our community members side by side, supporting their feelings, their mental health, and just, you know, getting them the help that they need that is proper for them at the time.
So Fawn travels between here and Hope.
Yes, I help Hopi, my own tribe now, so I'm able to help them in the same position, behavioral health technician, crisis specialist, 2 days in Hopi and 2 days in Flagstaff, and I'm always picking up overtime, so, you know, I just don't work those 4 days. I've been working all of the holidays, so I will work, New Year or Christmas Eve, I'll be working New Year's Day here in town, so I'm kind of just splitting it up both directions, yeah. It's fun, love it. You're welcome.
It's always amazing. Appreciate always that you do take the
the initiative to make sure that you pose questions and comments.
Missy, I really enjoyed your insight into a lot of these issues that otherwise I think we might have just not look at it in that perspective. So I think your work has a lot to do with that too, that you take a little different direction in a lot of these, so that helps, and it really does help a team like this, you know, any type of organization like this, that we have different perspective from the way our experience and workplace and personal experience as well, that help shape what we want to achieve. Yeah, so I always appreciate, always enjoy having you around. I'm gonna miss you.
Oh, another highlight, the commission that helped, build the CARES team here in Flagstaff, I was offered a position. But, I did not take it because of my working hours and what my schedule I'm used to. But, so I made it to that. I was hired, as, one of the team members. Yeah, so, that was, actually a surprise, when you help build a program for the city, see it from the bottom, come all the way to the top, and then get offered a position within that program. Yeah. There's so many things here in the town that, you know, we're all capable of doing, not just myself, but all of us that sit at the table. Yeah. So I wish you all luck.
Yeah, that was really good. I was really happy, really proud that our commissioners were involved in that care unit, that care mobile unit, and having input on just a lot of things. So just really proud of our commissioners.
Thank you all.
All right, move on to item number 7, informational items to or from commission members, staff, and future agenda requests. No comment.
The only thing I have is Brian Bates from the Democratic Party for local. He wanted to know if there was anybody out in the different Indigenous communities that would serve as somebody to deliver wood to deliver out into elders. So if you know of anybody like that, let me know so that I can forward that person's name to him. So,
Okay, so we'll move on to item 8, which is adjourning the meeting. Thank you, Commissioner, for attending. Thank you, Elsa.
Yeah.
On for your service. To the Indigenous community. Thank you all for attending.
adjourn at 1:09.
Yeah, adjourn at 9 p.m.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
I got a
Been a lot of-
Pepsi.